Hello and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and seasoned fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And welcome to a very special episode. I think it's the first time. No, it's not the first time, but it's a time where we are doing an extension of a previous episode.
Yeah. A revision, if you will.
A revised edition, because I think that the young people will not remember that before the internet, before Wikipedia was physical books called encyclopedias, and they'd have to make new ones every year because information would change. Yeah. So like if I was at my grandma's house, her encyclopedias were from the 70s. So they had like countries that didn't exist in them and things like that. So.
Oh, yeah. Or like it still says Czechoslovakia as a
right,
place.
Like places that don't exist anymore. So, because our podcast, like an encyclopedia, is like a hard-bound, unchanging medium.
Yeah.
We decided that for SHINee comeback time, that we should put a revised second edition of our Shawol's Guide to SHINee.
Hooray!
To bring us right up to this next point.
And this is
we have to be thorough.
We have to be thorough because we did already decide that we were going to dedicate an entire episode to the newest album. And of course, our very first deep dive was our Shawol's Guide. But that we put out the Shawol's Guide in June of 2018 at the very beginning. And so at the time, only the Story of Light had like just started, right? Only the first EP had come out. And so we didn't get to fully cover that release. And so we wanted to put out, before we talk about this next album, we can't skip over what has come before it. So this is an addition, a revised edition, an addition and revised edition.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Pronunciation tip for you. All right. So, I guess really quickly, that's being said, if you have not listened to the Shawol's Guide and if you don't know anything about SHINee, you really shouldn't be starting here. No, we are going to assume that you've already listened to the Shawol's Guide. But if you haven't, SHINee, a 5-member group from SM Entertainment, debuted May 25th, 2008. Some basic numbers. They have 6 Korean albums to date as of the recording of this episode. 6 Korean albums, 5 EPs, 5 Japanese albums, 35 singles, 40 music videos, 96 award nominations with 62 wins, including 13 golden discs and 4 mamas. And they're our absolute favorite group. So that is why
ultimate.
We are taking the time to thoroughly honor
yes,
their
respect,
entire
chronicle
discography. Yeah, for the histories.
For the history.
That's why we're here.
It's so important. Our 5 members. We have Onu, Jonghyun, Ki, Mino, and Taemin. We lost Jonghyun in 2017. This podcast is forever dedicated to his memory. We think about him every day. He is always with us. SHINee is always 5.
Yes, and they bring that up often. We will be talking about Jonghyun a lot today and in the coming episode with this like next album. And so our previous Shawol's Guide ended, like I said, after it chronicled their whole discography up to the first release of The Story of Light. So I'm going to back it up a little bit for us now.
Yes.
So before The Story of Light came out, the previous Korean release had been in 2016. So in 2016, in October, One of One came out, and that was the album, and then the same title track, One of One.
Yes.
Repackage, Tell Me What to Do, One and One. That came out in November. And then in 2017, in January, they came out with a Japanese album, which was called 5. So that was their 5th Japanese album. You had something you wanted to say about this album?
Oh yes, I just wanted to take a moment because this is an interesting thing. We're often asked like what has changed about K-pop since you started doing your podcast. And I think one of the biggest things that's changed since that Shawol guide is we say in that Shawol guide that like shiny Japanese releases are hard to get a hold of because at the time they were. Japanese releases used to be like country locked to Japan only, and you had to, really work to get them. But now they're all on Spotify and most of the music videos are available. And so it feels right to talk about them now because you could see them. So the main single for 5 is called Get the Treasure. I just wanted to talk about it for a moment because if you've never seen Get the Treasure, you should look it up because it's like crime SHINee.
Yeah.
And Key Eye Patch lives with his eye patch. And it's like they do like a casino heist and everybody else in the casino is like frozen and there's like shit all like flying in the air. But like SHINee is like moving through the frozen people. It's budget. It's like budget and it's good.
It's a total spectacle. And like the music video is really cool. It's very cinematic. Like you said, the like set pieces are really cool. Everybody's like frozen. And they actually like built that. Like some of it is not CGI. It's like I remember watching the behind the scenes of them like walking through it or whatever. They took time and money to make that music video. But also the choreography to that is really cool. So you can definitely look up like a stage of one of their Tokyo domes or something, because Get the Treasure is the one where they get on the floor and they make the star, right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it is, because that's where they say we are SHINee 5
and we're right by your side. Yes.
Yeah.
New catchphrase.
Yeah. Japanese catchphrase for their Japanese version. So that came out, like I said, in January of 2017. And then we had I think they did a few like solo releases, and then we lost Jonghyun, and then at the end of 2017. And then in 2018, like we talked about it on the previous Shawol's guide, the remaining 4 members did follow through with a Japanese concert in February, and then they released a Japanese compilation album in April of 2018, which was called SHINee the Best From Now On. And it was the first release since Jong's passing. But it was, like I said, a compilation album. So it was mostly just Japanese tracks and Japanese versions. And then the one new song was the title From Now On. And it went to number 1 on the Oricon chart. It was a certified gold album. And anything to say about that one?
Yeah, I had a note about the concert because at the time, I think in the Shawol's episode, I said that I periscoped that concert on my birthday, like just listened to it or whatever. But since then, it has been released in a fully HD DVD format, and is currently ripped on YouTube. And I just, I don't know, just to talk about it for a minute, it's a concert that I absolutely recommend if you love SHINee, but it is incredibly painful to watch. Every member has a huge breakdown at least once throughout the concert. Yeah. But I don't know, it just feels it's like SHINee taking us on a journey. We're all together at this first concert since a huge loss, and I don't know, you feel a lot of things, and I recommend it, but be ready to cry. But it's a great concert, and there's really good stages and amazing outfits, and it just makes me so proud of them and just their resilience and their strength.
Yeah, and their willingness to be so frank and honest about their grief and about their experience. We're going to talk a lot about that in this episode, because I think that kind of has to be a part of the conversation with SHINee, from now on, because grief is something that stays with you for the rest of your life. But also I think that they have been very purposeful and very thoughtful in the way that they have presented themselves since deciding to come back. And this was the first thing that they did, right? This concert. That, like we said, was in February. And yeah, if you are a Shawol and have not watched it, and I felt like it was very cathartic to see. And I feel like it maybe was that way for them, is like maybe that's why they decided to do it. It was cathartic to watch, because it was hard to watch. It was painful, but it was also, there were, like you said, those moments of those fantastic stages where like they were still SHINee, and it was very comforting to see. It was very like human, and also still that like magical.
It's human. Yes, it was like very
SHINee.
human to see them. It was human to see them breaking down over this pain that we're all feeling. But then the superhuman of them being like
them
idols
still being
at
these
the
like
same
idols.
time.
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience to watch. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be there. But yeah, that happened in February, and then the compilation album was in April, and then just a few months later was their 10th anniversary, May 25th, 2018. And so on May 28th, like 3 days later, I don't know why they didn't time it on the same day. It must have been like the day of the week.
It might have been a weird day of the week.
Yeah. But so May 28th, they put out The Story of Light, episode 1, which the title track was Good Evening. Or is it EP1? Is it episode or EP?
I always interpreted the EP period as episode.
Me too. Okay, I feel like maybe I've seen it. Maybe it's written that way on my phone as well, episode.
But I also noted, like, because there was there's like an aesthetic line through all of these, that episode 1 is the triangle one.
Yes, it is the triangle one. Sorry. Now I just need to
I want to
know
know what the phone says.
Oh no, it just says EP. I was wrong. Yeah, maybe it's always been in my head, but I also feel like I can see it being written down somewhere. But whatever.
Right.
I don't know which one it is. But yeah, so
But the single was Good Evening.
the single was called Good Evening. They decided to release The Story of Light as 3 separate albums with 3 separate title tracks. So this first EP had, I believe, 5 tracks altogether. One of them, the last one, You and I, has lyrics by Key. We always mention whenever the idols have a hand
Writing credit.
Writing credit. So Key wrote the lyrics to You and I, the Korean title of which is Annyeong. The B-side that they promoted with this one was All Day and All Night. And let's see, the choreography for Good Evening was done by Koharu Sugawara, who is the same choreographer for Taemin's Move and also Flame of Love. And we talked about this one in our last Shawol's guide, but the choreography for this is very different from the choreography that they usually do. But I mean, I think it's different from the choreography they're known for because it's not as precise.
Right.
But it also is very, like, it tells a story. It's very much
different from
narrative.
idol choreography in general.
I
Not
was
even
thinking
just
the same
SHINee
thing.
choreography. Because it's so like artsy and loose and storytelling in its nature. We talked about this in the last guide, but art choreo and suit jammas is how I will always remember this part of the comeback. Because they're wearing like suits that are made of pajamas and they have like rope belts and things.
Yes, then that was like a look from the music video as well, when we talked about, like in the last Shawol's guide, about the themes of the Little Prince being an inspiration for the like story arc of the Story of Light, because in that music video I believe they end up following a fox through the woods into the well. Or is that just one of the teasers? Was it not actually in the music video?
The fox is for sure in the next music video. I couldn't remember if he shows up in the first one. He might, because he might be a through line.
Yeah. But anyway,
I truly can't remember now.
I can't remember either. But yeah, I'm trying to look through my notes and see if there's any like facts we need to know. Oh, this went number 1 on Gown. It went number 4 on the Billboard World Charts and number 2 on the Billboard Heat Seekers. It did mark their 10th anniversary, so it was very successful, well received. It won a music show, but I don't remember which one. I didn't write it down.
And we talked last week. We did an episode about favorite SHINee B-sides, and we made ourselves an arbitrary cutoff to not talk about any story of light B-sides so that we could talk about them now.
Yes.
So we've noted favorite B-sides from every little episode or EP or whatever you want to call it.
We'll just say
and
in this guide, it's episode. And if that's
It's
wrong,
episode.
then it's wrong. And I don't
Then
want to
that's
be right.
But I think that my favorite B-side from this episode is Undercover. Because talk about a whistle song. What a whistle song. Yeah, that's just a good one with a really crazy, it has like a crazy like little fast like samba-y beat at the beginning or something, and then it's just got these crazy like whistles and everything drops out, and like, yeah, I like Undercover. That's my choice.
Undercover is a great song. I mean, I love this whole EP or this whole, well, it is an EP. It's hard to pick a favorite because there's truly not one single song in this entire saga that I dislike. There's not one.
Right.
But I think my favorite one off of this is You and I, because that song is beautiful. It's a little bit haunting, and it's absolutely heart-wrenching. There is one wail. There's like one ad-lib toward the end. I'm pretty sure it's Key who does it. And it like... every time I hear it, it just like sounds like someone's heart is being ripped apart. And I know that sounds like, why would you want to listen to that? But it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
In a way that resonates deeply, and I just love it. I love that song.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, because it feels true, even though it's hard. It like feels true.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember, so I don't want to talk out of my ass if this was like fan conjecture or if it was like fact. But I think people assumed that it was like both about Jong and about Key's grandmother, who he loved very, very, very much and lost like a year before this.
Yes.
And it might be a combination of all of those feelings of a lost loved one.
I believe that Key talked about that because
Okay.
he wrote the lyrics to this song. And I think when discussing the lyrics, he said that he initially wrote them after his grandmother passed, and then he rewrote the version that is on the album is what he revised after Jong had passed, because it is about grief and about like sometimes feeling like the anger that can come with grief. And it's a really beautiful song.
That's a great choice. Before we move on, I had one more thing to note on May 28th. May 28th is the day that our shotting star was born. And that is the name of SHINee's official light stick. Because SHINee was an old school second gen group that just had those big straight glow stick light sticks for their concerts all the way up until this moment when they got a real Bluetooth light stick like everyone else.
Wow. In May of 2018. Now
And it is a beautiful light stick.
It is a beautiful light stick with a terrible name.
It is a dumb name.
But I think that we've all come to embrace and love the name Shotting Star. And so it lives. It lives.
But it's a really beautifully designed light stick because the patterns that it shines like on walls is a very like chandelier-y, and then if you put the light stick directly up against another surface, it makes a perfect 5-pointed star.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's beautiful. It's my most prized possession. I love my shotting star so much.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing I had is something I inserted into the timeline.
Take it away.
I'll jump in. So on June 6th, 2018 was when the first episode of SHINee's Back aired on the M2 YouTube channel. And this was the first time that SHINee had done a reality show as SHINee for SHINee since they did One Fine Day in 2013. So it had been
5
forever
years
since we'd had an all SHINee reality show. So this was a good one. I think it's 6 episodes. They're all still on YouTube. it starts out with like music video shooting, and then there's an episode where they go to the grocery store and they cook dinner together, and then there's an episode where they go to like a car race track and have a race. But it's sweet and good and fun, and it's kind of the place that a lot of the like newer Shawol memes have come from. Like the fact that Taemin's name is Baby Cheese is because of something Mino says in that show, etc., etc. So SHINee's back on M2. Watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, it's such a good show. And every episode is only like 15 minutes or less.
Yeah,
it's pretty short. So I rewatched it not that long ago, and what a delight. I saw a lot of jokes because that one of those episodes where they make dinner and like there's so much smoke in the kitchen and Taemin is just in the living room playing video game so obliviously, and people grabbed screenshots of that and then put it next to the teasers of him sitting next to the fire or the bench that's on fire and like life imitating art, or art imitating life, I suppose, since the teaser came after. Anyway, that takes us to June 11th. And so this was the second title release, episode 2, I Want You. I want you. This is like tropical house, super fun summer song. The music video, it follows the through line of, so in the Good Evening music video, they like break out of this sort of dilapidated like inside and they run through the forest and they find this well, right? And then presumably they like fall through the well, I guess, because then in the I Want You, they're kind of all in these like different places and these different like abstract sets, which draw a lot of references to like the different planets in the Little Prince, like the different planets that the Little Prince visits. And it's a really fun song. I love I Want You. I had it stuck in my head all day today.
The music video is also in like 4:3 ratio, like an old TV. So it has like the big black bars on the side, but there are a couple of moments where shit gets real zany and one of them like reaches outside of it or floats outside of it. So there's like weird little stuff like that. I Want You is I think I've said this on the show before, but it's my favorite of the releases from this era. I love I Want You because it's so joyful, and it has similar like kind of loosey-goosey contemporary choreography like Good Evening does, but it's like less emo in its like presentation, but it's still just as like, I don't know, just like flaily arms and stuff.
It has more like relaxed vibe.
Yes, and the dance practice to it makes me cry every time I watch it. I'm not exactly sure why, just because. But it's also like the first dance practice video they had released since Everybody. So it's really special for that reason too.
Practices. Such a shame.
What's your favorite B-side off of episode 2, which is the circle one?
Yes, it is the circle one. And also, I mean, so we mentioned the fox. Like, was the fox?
Oh
in
yeah,
Good
the
Evening.
fox.
The fox is on the album art for all three of them. So that makes me think the fox was in the Good Evening music video.
He must be
because he's on the album. Anyway, let's see. This is the circle. My favorite. Oh, it's so hard to choose. But I think it's the B-side that they promoted, which was Who Waits for Love. Again, that song is dramatic, but it's so good. They just like the way that I love the choreography. It is weird and like not really like SHINee. They just like do a lot of these like arms. But it's like very Taemin-y.
Yes.
That's a very like Taemin song, I think. It is. But it's a Taemin song that's sung by SHINee, so it's like you can't go wrong. It's right up my alley. That's my shit.
Yes.
And they wore like really dramatic like vampire pajamas on stage. They wore like silky things, unbuttoned, and like lots of necklaces.
Vampire pajamas. That's totally it. I think my favorite B-side from this one is Drive. Just because I love a chuggy guitar. I love acapella harmonies. I love a vocoded voice going like anytime there's like something weird like that. Yeah, I just like Drive because I feel like Drive's vibe flows right into I Want You's vibe. Like it feels
does.
like the B side to this album.
That's fair.
So I picked Drive.
It's such a good song. It's such a good song.
It's all just so good, guys.
I know.
It's all just so good.
All of it is so good. This particular EP, so it went to number 4 on the Billboard World Charts while episode 1 was still on that chart as well in its 3rd week. And so by making it onto that chart twice, SHINee became the 5th K-pop act to ever do that before.
Wow.
So yeah, and then it also went to number 1 on Gown and Oricon. And the members talked a little bit about how part 1 was what others seem to think of them, and then part 2 was meant to reflect what the members think of themselves. And I liked that they
Isn't that like a parallel to the Drake Misconceptions?
Yes, it's very
series?
similar, if not exactly what they said the inspiration was behind that one. But I really liked that they gave that description, and then the second album was more joyful than the first one. Like that was nice to see, I thought. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's everything I wrote down. I'm just trying to be thorough, so I like keep looking at my notes because I'm like, I just want to do you justice, SHINee.
A thing I wrote down for 2 days after this on June 13th is when SHINee went on Weekly Idol episode 359. And once again, they had not been on any shows like they hadn't been on Weekly Idol for 2 years. So it was an exciting treat. And it's a really good episode because Key is not having it that day.
Oh my God.
Does not want to. And at one point, leaves the set because he doesn't want to do Dancey Sillies anymore.
Runs away. He just
and is carried back by a giant man.
Yeah. And then when he's carried back, he chastises the host saying, "Why didn't you send a camera after me? That was variety gold."
He was giving you content.
Yeah. He was like, "What do you think I'm working so hard for?"
So if you haven't seen that episode, check that one out.
Totally worth watching. Okay, so then that takes us to June 25th. Yes. All right. So this is their 3rd and final title track of The Story of Light, and it is called Our Page. I wrote this quote from Key that I wanted to share because it explained why they wanted to release the 3 lead singles and why they broke it up this way. And he said that the purpose of the 3 was to show that the group was still here working hard and doing well and coping with everything as they are now. And this song, the members of SHINee and SM songwriter Kenzie wrote together, and it is dedicated to Jonghyun. The Korean title of the song is The Words You Left Behind. 느껴지니 이어져 있어
보이지 않는 Yeah. This is a music video that, for different reasons, but like Married to the Music, I haven't seen this music video very many times, because it's very real. I think there was a lot of fear, or at least for me, around this whole comeback, is like people were like afraid of it happening and afraid of projecting too much on top of it, or like everybody was just kind of afraid of the big scary grief that was hanging in the air. And this music video is very like on the nose and very like true. Like Mino specifically in the music video is like doing stunts and like on a red carpet or whatever because he was filming like a big fancy movie when Jong died, and like that's what he had to go back to doing like immediately. So like that's what he's going through in the music video, and like Taemin's really shut down and like in a gym, and like Key's out walking by him. I don't know, it's a lot. It feels a lot. I don't know how else to describe it other than that.
It's a very simple music video. It just shows each of the members doing something on their own, like working or at home, and just sort of like has the song playing, and then it culminates with them walking up to a stage that is, it is like shiny colored, and it has like light bulbs hanging from the sky, and then there's 5 microphones with like the center one being purposefully left empty. And the song is dedicated to Jonghyun. Like I said, it reflects the group message that quote will be together to the end. The lyrics reference being 5 and also talk about the debut date of the group. And it went to number 2 on the Gaon and Oricon chart. It also went to number 4 on the Billboard World. And yeah, they didn't promote this one as much as the others, because it is just like a stand and sing. And I think, like you said, like this is a very emotional song. And I think it's emotional for them to perform as well. Like they just didn't perform it they didn't go on as many music shows, I think. Right. I could be wrong. But I feel like I didn't see as many stages. But anyway, they also promoted the B-side what I was going to say is the B-side they promoted was Tonight.
Yes, which we talked about in our Tonight Battle episode.
Yeah, because you don't like that song.
Because I don't really like that song as much as you do. Ridiculous. I don't hate it. I just didn't like it as much as other songs on the Tonight list.
Whatever.
No, but I love our page. It is a good song, and the way that they all just like belt the chorus is so. It's like so powerful, and at the same time it doesn't always make me laugh, but this moment brings me a little bit of a chuckle. There's like a video from, I think, the thing that I'm about to talk about next, or maybe it was somebody's solo show, but anyway, they're doing Our Page, and the Shawols are like singing the beginning with Jinky, like na 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 na, like low, everybody's singing it, and then it does a really big jump at the chorus, and all the Shawols just go like and then everybody like laughs, and then everyone like stops and laugh because like the key jump is higher than everyone expected, and everyone just has like a good relieving laugh at it, and it always makes me laugh when I think about that.
I love those moments I love moments when idols and the crowds are singing together. Like, doesn't Jong have a moment in one of his? Yes, in one of Jong's like inspiration concerts, he was singing Lonely. I think he was singing Lonely, and like the whole crowd came in early on Taeyeon's verse, and he like caught that. He was like, anyway, this EP, like all the others, had 5 tracks. And this one, the last track on this album, is a special track called Lock You Down, and it has Jong's voice on it. So I looked and I tried to find like anything where they talked about this track or like gave information about it. So I couldn't really find anything. So I don't know if it's the last song they ever recorded together. I don't know that for a fact, but it is so far the last that they've released of the 5.
Yeah. Last released. I've always wondered because like Lock You Down is it's fine. It's like fine, and it's a fine song, and it's like precious, and it's good to have it, but I've always just assumed that it's something that got like knocked off of an earlier album, but it was finished, so they had it. They might have had like other songs that his voice was on that they might have done for other albums, but like that one was done, and so they were like, we have this one, like let's put it out special.
I think it doesn't sound like that old though. So I wonder if it was one, like something that didn't make it on Odd.
Or One and One, which ended up being more ballad heavy than it was, or like something like that.
Yeah. It's a fun song. I really like it. The end always makes me laugh because Key goes, "Go, you know it's about the time that we do it." And I always go, "Do what, Key? Do
lock
what?
You down. I'm gonna lock you down."
I know. It's a fun song. I really like it. But what's your favorite B-side off of that song?
My favorite B-side off of episode 3
I said off of that song, but you knew what I meant.
I did. Is I Say.
Oh,
which is like the ballad on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Even though Our Page is the lead song, like I say
Yes.
is the ballad on that album. And I pick it like just for pure drama, like the tell me everything. Like,
Yes!
come on.
I love it. I say so much. I know like every word of that song purely because I've listened to it so much. I've never looked up the lyrics, but fuck it. If I can't sing every syllable of that song, I love it so much. But I was like, my favorite's Retro, I think.
Okay,
I
yeah,
love
that would be
Retro.
my next choice.
And I just thought it was funny that this time we flipped and you picked
Yeah.
the dramatic one and I picked the fun one. I love
Yeah.
Retro though. It's such a fun song. It's so fun. I don't know. It's just like a kind of like sexy bop of like, oh, this girl got me feeling all emotional.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Emotional. Yeah, it's fun like thinking about Retro or Drive or like songs like that. I don't know if we talked about it in the previous episode or not, but there was like a fun website for these albums where if you like
Yeah.
clicked the right color, it would play a little snippy of the song. And I remember like really liking the Retro and the Drive like there were certain songs where I was like obsessed with that little teaser snippy.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember being really excited for Retro. And they also did a part of their promotion in that website was that you could get like a SHINee song of the day. Like you could go and it would like you would spin a wheel. No, you would spin a wheel for like what mood you were in or something, or you would like tell the wheel what mood you're in. And then it would give you a song from anywhere in SHINee's discography. And it would be like, we recommend you listen to this. And it was like always a good choice because it was SHINee.
So the next thing I had in the timeline is in September of 2018, starting on the 2nd, SHINee did something that they called a special party, quote, The Shining. And this was not a SHINee World. So it wasn't like a SHINee World, which is the big concerts. It was more like a fan meet / concert. It's still in like a big old stadium, but it's more half concert, half like playing fan meet games. But that is also a DVD / available on YouTube. And I just wanted to note that like the last concert, it will also probably make you cry, but like for different reasons. And that in that first From Now On concert, that was a concert that was like planned when Jong was still with us, and they had to do it because the tickets were sold. And like, so in that concert, his voice, they just like don't sing when it's like Jong's lines, and he just like comes over the speakers. But in SHINee Party, it's like it's starting to mix a little different, like certain lines and like backing tracks, and like there's still Jong voice in it, but they've redistributed most of his lines. And so then it like makes you emotional for like two reasons again, of like missing him and it's different, and then also feeling like so proud of like Taemin hitting the high notes or Mino singing lead on Juliet, like all of these moments. And it like, I don't know, guys, it's part of the SHINee journey at this point, like you said, to just always be thinking about these things and going through all of these stages together and growing and changing. And yeah, but it's a good concert, and it's easy to find at the moment.
Yeah. And I think that they showed through their promotion of the whole Story of Light that this was like a period of growth, and that the fans were kind of along for the ride in that way, and like also experiencing their own type of growth and like being able to see SHINee as 4 people on that stage.
Right.
And yeah, it was, they went on like a couple of shows. I think we talked about it in our previous episode about like them going on Radio Star and being very upfront about like going together to therapy and like working together through their grief, and about it being a continuous process. And like, yeah, no, we're not really okay, but we are still SHINee, and we decided to continue to be SHINee. And so it was very amazing to see. And the only other thing I had on the timeline before we get to their repackage was a Japanese release in July. So right before,
I skipped that.
That's okay. Right before that SHINee fan meet, they did a Japanese single called Sunnyside, which also came with the Japanese version of Good Evening and I Want You. And that was released on July 27th in 2018. And then after that SHINee fan meet, on September 10th, they released the repackage for The Story of Light, which was called Countless. The album that they re-released like with Countless had like a slightly different order to some of the tracks, but otherwise the only difference was that it now has Countless on it,
and the art is a combination of the circle and the triangle and the square, and now it's white.
Yes, and now it's white because the circle and the triangle and the square were like primary colors, like we had talked about in the previous episode. Like they're primary colors, and it's like, you know, have like white light that refracts through a prism, and then that's how you get the, you know, basic science of colors. But we also, I don't know if we mentioned it in the previous episode, I listened to it the other day and I can't remember, but if we didn't say it, the triangle and the circle and the square were chosen as the symbols because it represents the Hangul of SHINee. Like when you write SHINee in Hangul, there's you can sort of
the
represent
first part
it.
of each.
Yeah,
the first part of each little syllable is is like a triangle,
a circle, and then a square,
and then up the bottom of a square.
Yeah.
It works if you use your imagination.
You can definitely, if you like look at it written, you can see it. You can see it. It's pretty obvious. It's my SHINee tattoo, so I say it makes sense.
No, I remember I remember when we were in Korea and we showed it to June and his friend, and June was like, "I don't see it," and his friend was like, "You don't know your own language? Look at it. It's SHINee."
Thanks, other June. They were both named June. I'll never forget that. Okay. Anyway, that was Countless.
Countless, Go ahead. No, go. No, I was going to talk about the song, but I feel like you have stats.
Oh, I was as well. Well, I was going to say it came with a music video. It went to #1 on Gaon and #9 on the Billboard World. And I was just going to say I love this song so much because the lyrics are really beautiful and they're also very clever. So the lyrics, like the English translation, the main chorus says like, "There are countless reasons of why I need you. You are my word, my sentence, my entire language. I may have other thoughts, I may dream other dreams, but in the end, I'm only speaking of you." Which is like the most romantic thing I've ever heard. But also the lyrics themselves use number and the Hangul alphabet to make like acrostic poetic phrases. And so the lyrics themselves are like very thoughtful. And it's just, I love that song so much.
It's so good. We've referred to it on this show before as like the comfort song because
a soul reset.
It just is a soul reset. And something about, I've never just figured out how, but something about the music video reminds me of like Golden Girls or some other similar 80s Florida aesthetic of some kind.
That's
it's
fair.
Like pink arches and like white couches, and they're all wearing like loafers, and there's something so vibey about it. But I just thought about this, all the phones in Countless, and we're rolling right into a phone comeback right now. Always connected, baby.
Always connected. Always connecting. I've connected them.
You haven't connected shit.
Yes, Countless came out. It's beautiful. A soul reset. Oh, I was going to say, it always reminded me of a Barbie dream house, like an 80s Barbie dream house.
Yes, there's just something like...
It's very 80s, but
it's
also
very
it's very fake. It's like a very fake set. And it doesn't like try to look real.
Right.
It's like a wall. Like no other. I don't know. It's a look, but it's beautiful and I love it. And that's, I think, all I had to say about it.
Hey! 생소한 이유들이 남아있어. 생소한 이유들이 남아있어.
As a sort of general reflection on the story of light, because it was an endeavor, right? SHINee does these things every once in a while. Like the first time they released this sort of like 3-album package was the Misconceptions of Us, right? Misconceptions of You, Misconceptions of Me, Misconceptions of Us. So, and then they did this, the Story of Light, with their 3 separate episodes. And it was really beautiful. I loved the entire thing, like I said, but it was named as one of the 25 greatest K-pop albums of the 2010s in Billboard magazine. And it was the staff picks, so like of the Billboard music staff. And I wanted to read this quote of like how they described it because I thought it was so perfect. Like it really summarized, I thought, like why it was so good. And it says, SHINee's eclecticism is used throughout the album to stunning effect. The Story of Light re-envisions grief not as an all-consuming void, but as something almost musical, a multi-sensory phenomenon that molds us into new people.
Fuck.
And like we were saying, it is sort of about this experience of growth, and that just like really hit the nail on the head. I thought it was a beautiful way of describing like why the Story of Light is such an effective and like beautiful piece of art.
I totally agree. And I feel like I feel even more strongly about that here 3 years later. Because I don't know if it came across in our first Shawol episode or not, but like it was a fraught time. Like everybody's pain was like really fresh. And I think there was also a lot of like disagreement in the fan space about whether or not the comeback should happen at all. And like, I don't know, like I said, there was like just a lot of fear of like, what if they handle it wrong, or like, what if it's exploitative, or what if it's all of these things. But it was like perfectly SHINee in that it was all of those things. It was sad and it was fun and it was old and it was SHINee, but it was brand new. And it was like, I don't know, it was all of those things. And it was this like nice that they gave us like a couple of months and a couple of albums to like really say like, we're here. We're not okay, but we're okay. We're going to keep doing our jobs because we love our jobs and we love you and we loved him and we want to like keep going. And I think that was like so reflected in like absolutely every part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then they packed it up, shipped it out, and they went to the military. Bing, bang, boom. Onu, Lee Jin-ki, he enlisted December 2018, so like just a few months after Countless came out. Goodbye, Jin-ki.
He put out a quick solo thing on his way out the door.
Yep, said goodbye, here you go, didn't promote it at all, went to the military. He was released in July of 2020.
I wrote down, hold on, sorry. I wrote some little things about what they did in the military.
Oh, sure.
Like,
go
just
right
for
ahead.
record. So Onu was enlisted as an active duty soldier, but he auditioned for and was cast in 2 military musicals because the military puts on propaganda musicals about heartwarming stories of soldiers. And Onu got to do that. So he performed in one called Shinhung Military Academy and another one called Return, The Promise of the Day, which also had Schumann from EXO in it. That's what he did before he left. So that's what Onu did in the military. He did musicals.
I'm glad you wrote that down. I was going to like make little notes of what they did, and then I was like, meh. I'm glad you did. Okay.
Yeah.
Key was the next. He enlisted in March of 2019 and he served until September of 2020. What did Kim Ki-bum do in the military?
Kim Ki-bum was actually in the military band,
Sure
which is a
was.
full branch of the military. And they mostly perform at events to keep the morale of the military up. But he was in the same class of military band as Chang Sub from B2B. So last week you brought him up
Yes.
because that's Key's military buddy. They were
yeah.
in the same military band.
Fun. They wore bright, kicky red outfits.
Yes, they do.
Chemino was the last to enlist. He went the same month that Key did, just a few days later, March of 2019, and he served until November of 2020. And our dear Mino doesn't half-ass anything. He whole asses all the things. So he was a fucking Marine.
Yes. He was in the 1st Division Airborne Force Unit. He was immediately after basic training where he won an award for being like the best in his unit. He was promoted to jump master, then he was promoted to sergeant, then paratrooper, and then finally squad leader. He was very good at being in the Marines and he jumped out of planes every day and he loved it so much. Please address him as Sergeant Choi forever and ever. Thank you.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy that he was a paratrooper. Whatever. I mean, it's
I know.
not. I can like believe it, but it's also just like in an alternate. There's an alternate universe in which Mino is a Marine.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there was a part of him that when they said that that he didn't take his like coronavirus like extra vacation to go home and was going to stay to train the new kids, I was like, he's probably thinking about never coming back. He's probably thinking like, how can I just stay here forever? Because that was the funniest thing about when they all got out. Is like, Onu didn't say much about it, but like immediately became very active on social media and started doing V lives and stuff. And he was such a hermit boy before, so it was kind of funny.
He picked up like real dad like cottagecore hobbies. He started like he made a mug and like
spoons,
he
he
carved
whittles.
spoons and like he arranged flowers.
And then like Key got out and was just basically like, never ask me about that again, never talk to me about it again. I like do not want to acknowledge that I had to do it.
Get me
And
in front of
it's
a
over.
camera right now. He jumped right back into his reality show, or he went back to Amazing Saturday. He went on like a couple of different interview shows to just like chat about like, I'm back, bitches, and whatever. He was just like, I'm back. Don't talk to me about it. And then Mino took his sweet
like
goddamn time.
And because he like thrived in the military, and it was like I feel like it was like one of the best times he ever had. So like watching his Welcome Home V Live, he just like showed pictures and told military stories, and he was so happy. And everybody in the comments were like, I wish you would take your uniform off and stop talking about the military. And he was like, oh, sorry, I was proud of myself. And I was like, y'all shut the fuck up. That's why he wanted to stay in the military.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying anything to him in there.
And
Leave him
like
alone.
also he's telling us what he was up to in the last like 2 years.
I want to hear his
okay?
parachute
I want to hear
stories.
his military stories. He wasn't allowed to talk to us before. Tell me what you've been up to, Sergeant Choi. Let's go.
Please. So anyway, that was our first major chunk of military enlistment.
Yeah, and
out
Timeen
and done with.
TBD. He's got some time. But so yeah, now all three of them are out. Mino, like we said, was the last to come out in November of 2020. And so Timeen had already said earlier, like before even any of them were out, he was like, SHINee's coming back by the end of in 2020. Like, don't worry, we're going to be back. He's the one who said 2020. And then
and we like changed our group chat name to like SHINee 2020.
Yeah, because Timeen said so. And we chose to believe him. And he wasn't wrong. they did all come back, and we got some V Lives before the end of the year. But the official announcement came on January 6th, 2021. SM announced the comeback. There's going to be a new full album, and it is called Don't Call Me. We talked about this just a couple weeks ago, but on January 27th, SHINee did a live special. It's like it's not a comeback special, but it was called The Ringtone SHINee is Back. They performed Good Evening. They did some solo stages, one solo stage each, and then they did a stage of Marry You, which is a B-side off of their upcoming album. And then in between the performances, they like chatted and did like fun V Live, like silly whatever games, and dropped like spoilers of the album.
And it was so fun.
It was so fun. So now we're just kind of in a place that really catches us up, because now we're just in a place where there's been teasers, right? We have had teaser photos. We had like a mood sampler. Basically, so far we know that we're going to get a concept in which there's the real SHINee, right, in reality, and then there's a fake reality, right? So the concept of this album is a place in which beliefs become fantasy and fantasy becomes belief. What does that mean? We'll find out.
Who knows?
But they're doing a really cool promo like they did with The Story of Light, where they had that special like website where you could go and you could get like little clips. Now, because the album is called Don't Call Me, there's a phone number that you can call. There is an international number, but I think I was doing it wrong. I like couldn't get through. I don't know if I'm dialing it wrong, but whatever. When you call the number, it's not translated, obviously, if you call. So it would just be like them speaking Korean in my ear, and I wouldn't know what it was. But they, each day that you call, one of the members answers and like says hello, or a little message introduces like, oh, if you want to hear a sneak peek, press 6 or press 9. And because the 9th track on that album will be, and then you get a like 30-second clip, or you press that number and then a member again introduces the song, you hear the song, and then the member talks like, oh, wasn't that great? Like, the lyrics are fun. I look forward to it. And it's been a great time. Every single snippet sounds fantastic. So far we know it's a 9-track album. And yeah, I don't know. I have nothing but exciting things to say about Don't Call Me. I can't wait. The only other thing that I know about this upcoming album is that the title song was originally pitched to Boa, and she actually talked about it on an episode of Nobody Talks to Boa.
Nobody Talks to Boa.
And where she was talking to Lee Soo-man, and she said that this particular song she rejected or didn't put on her latest album because she said it sounded like it was meant for a group. And it was, because it's for SHINee now. And so now it's their title track.
Yeah, it's so funny and interesting. I mean, I feel like with a company like SM that like wheels are put in motion long before anything happens. But that episode of Nobody Talks to Boa is weird and funny because it was filmed before Mino got out of the military, but he was in the building for he must have just been on vacation and was like in the building. So he randomly wanders in to Lee Soo-man's office at this part of the Boa thing. After they've talked about the songs or whatever, and she says like, that's a group song that sounded like a group. Then Mino comes in and they talk or whatever, and he says something to like Lee Soo-man, like, make sure that you have enough money to buy lots of SHINee, like they'd say something about like, don't forget you have to get songs for SHINee too. Yeah. And it's just funny that like they were
well, Mino comes in and they say something like, doesn't Boa says something about like, oh yeah, we were just talking about the songs on my album, and Mino says there are songs for SHINee too, right? And Lee Soo-man says, yeah, the ones that Boa didn't pick, and he said they're for SHINee. They're like, look at me, and he like it does the eyes, and is like, look me in the eyes. Promise me, they're for SHINee, and they were.
Yeah,
They were.
they were. Crazy. Yeah, it's really exciting.
I can't wait.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, the music video teaser is set to come out on February 20th, and the album is going to be released on February 22nd. And as of today, it is February 17th. So we have 3 more days until the music video teaser. And then a few more days
I'm like
until
really.
the album.
I just feel like not ready at all. And I'm so excited because I feel like everything I've ever known about all my years as a Shawol is that these teaser images have fuck all to do with like anything that will be in the music video. It will be a totally different thing, probably. And I don't even know what to make of that. It's too exciting.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I feel like, I don't know, I assume that like the fake reality suburbs is going to factor into the music video, but anything could happen.
Because that's the one that felt the most like they built a set and
Yeah.
that maybe it would be worth it for the music video. But I feel like their weird like terrorist face scarf outfits, I feel like can't be part of the music video. That part feels too weird. Maybe
I didn't
it is,
think
though.
it was either, but I also didn't think that like the flower where Mino's wearing that terrible
Oh,
wig,
yeah.
like I don't think that's going to be in the music video. I think that was just for the photos.
Right.
But
But it's like you're never sure like which are the pictures for just for the photos
Yeah.
and which are going to be music video pictures.
because
You never
also
know.
yesterday and today they released character teasers for each individual
Right,
member,
and they're
and that's
totally
a completely different outfit. And like Onu is like a sweater boy standing in the rain, but it's
In the
raining in
rain.
the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. So far we've got 4 different quote unquote realities. But what is
man.
real? We will find out.
We will find out. It's so exciting. It's so exciting, and they're doing so many things, and they're doing another reality show.
Yes.
Much like SHINee's back was, and so far we've like had it spoiled that there's gonna be I read a synopsis, and it's like they all get to do like some sort of weird fantasy or something, and like keys is that they have to go back in time. So there's like a clip of them in their replay outfits, and is yelling at them for
Yeah.
some reason.
And they have the cloud backdrop, like the old school
Yes.
SM practice room.
And then like Onu went to like the snowy mountains to like sing songs on a stool, and Mino got like basketball training from like actual basketball players. I don't know what Taemin did for his wish, but it's like I guess they're all getting to like do something kooky, and I'm so excited. Content! I can't believe it.
Yeah, and they're on V Live like every day now.
Every day.
Timmy's manager
car.
suffers a lot. That has become obvious.
Namboyoisu. That
Oh
poor
my
man.
God, that poor man. He's not old, but he's not young.
He's so lonely.
He's
So
He is-
lonely.
always alone. Oh, that poor man. Anyway, there's like 20 V Lives that I haven't watched. Like SHINee.
They were literally singing Dreamgirls last night, like harmonizing, singing "Listen" from Dreamgirls in the van. It was crazy.
I know. I just like need to sit and watch like every single one of them, because now that they have their own, like ever since they all got out of the military, they like finally got a channel on V Live. Like we said, even though they were the first ones to do it, it's fine. They have it now. But ever since they've gotten it, they have been like going wild on. Taemin loves it, and Key is always down. And so like I feel like if Taemin is around, period, no matter who he's around, if he's alone or if he's with a member, he's gonna turn it on.
Yeah, because I'm honestly shocked at his English. Like, I don't know when he learned it, but he learned it fast. And he
Probably
just wants
while
to speak
Super M.
English.
I feel like
That would
that's why.
make a lot of
That's when
sense.
he learned. Because he would have been around Mark and 10. And they would have been promoting all around the States.
Well, whatever he's doing, he's clearly practicing very
Yeah.
hard, and he like must keep up with it every day, because some days he's like, today I learned a new word, and he like tells you about the new word that he learned.
I feel like he probably wakes up in the morning and like turns on like a recording or like a audio
Right.
book or something and does
He was-
some
I-
practice.
I saw like there's that TikTok where Key was like imitating the language app, and it was like, Mom, where is my coffee? Ding dong. It is under the table. Ding dong. And then like, and people in the comments were like, why would the coffee be under the table? And I was like, y'all have not done any language things before.
They don't
The coffee
make
is in a
sense.
shoe under the bed on top, because they're teaching you under and over and on top of. So they just do weird things.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's great fun. It's really weird to like see them so much. I'm not
is weird.
complaining. It is weird.
It
though.
is weird. It is weird.
It's
No,
very
I'm not.
new
No,
school.
of course, would never complain. It's amazing. It's a treat. But I'm not used to it.
Not used to
Because
it at
not
all.
only not so like we just were recently talking about this because we got the chance to go on an episode of the Crazecast to talk about like generations of K-pop, which was great fun. And we were talking about like the differences in especially like what we're going to see now that these second gen groups are for the first time coming back, surviving their enlistment, right? Because now we have SHINee that like this is the first thing they've done since the majority of them have come out of enlistment, and they're coming back in a very different K-pop landscape. Like they have all of these V lives. Like the last thing they did all together, even the Story of Light, like they didn't promote it this way. They didn't have a V live channel. They didn't do all of the, obviously a lot of other things was going on. But like if you think about, you know, like the One of One, like they weren't able to promote that album this way. And so now they have like the fandom at their fingertips in a very different way than they did before. And it's like very surreal to watch them like kind of learn how to navigate it. And it's really funny to see Taemin be like the one who is kind of the like forefront of it. Because
he is really filling that like Gen Z like baby role.
Yeah.
Like, look, dads, look, this is what the kids are doing now.
Yeah.
And like, they left him alone, and I feel like he gained a lot of confidence while he was alone, like understandably, because he did solo stuff, and then he got to be like the oldest in a different group.
Right.
But then he just like gets to come home and be the baby, but he has 2 more years of experience in this new landscape that the others don't have. And he learned that I think he learned that he's fucking untouchable and that he cannot get in trouble. And so he's like I feel like everything Taemin says is telling the others like, hey, you know how we spent the last 10 years like tiptoeing because we thought we were going to get in trouble?
none of
We
that
can't get in
fucking
trouble.
matters, man.
We literally
can
can't
do
get in trouble.
whatever
So
we
let's
want.
do whatever we want.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, like, let's think about what's happened to Taemin since the other members went into the army, right? And
Sure.
so, like, we didn't talk about any of the solo stuff that the members did because obviously, like, these members, like, Taemin in particular, deserves his own deep dive, and we'll get one eventually. But he released more than one solo album, was in this group Super M, and was like promoted around the world on like an international stage as like not just part of this group, but like the jewel of this group, right? Like he was, I think, painted throughout all of the Super M promotions for
He was
like,
the Nick Fury in the storyline.
yeah. And like, yes,
was the
the
most
man
important.
behind the curtain, the most important. And also like when people were introducing like, oh, who is Taemin? Like, I don't know who this person is. It's like, oh, that's the Taemin. Like he is like the iconic dancer, like soloist of like K-pop. Like, and he became like written up in all kinds of magazines and like so much praise for his solo work, where to the point where like he is an international superstar now, I think, in a lot of ways, and especially in a way that he wasn't at the time of like the Story of Light, right?
Sure.
Like when all of his members enlisted, his star was not as big as it is now. And so now he is untouchable for SM. What are they going to do? Fucking let him go? No. Like even if they did, he could go anywhere, and like he could represent himself. He could go to any other company. He could go to other countries and be successful. Like they can't get rid of Timeen, right? And they fucked up when they spoiled Criminal over the summer and they accidentally put it on one of his reality shows. And I think ever since that happened, he just said, I'm gonna let it fly because you fucked up my album. Like I had to, 2 kids got pushed back. My album got pushed back. My promotions got cut. You fucked up the title track and you released it without my consent. You can't stop me. Baby Cheese's gloves are off.
Yeah. And if they didn't, and you'd think at this point, if anyone was paying attention or actually cared about his spoilers, then they wouldn't let him. Nobody would have sent him a copy of the album to be able to play it on his phone if it was like such a concern. But it is so funny to watch their faces. I like saw a couple of screenshots of when he was playing songs he wasn't supposed to on live the other day, and like Mino thought it was really funny. Key wasn't sure what to think. And Onu looked genuinely mad in a couple of them. I was like, oh, he's lost control of this ship entirely. Yeah. And like, oh, it's a good time.
It's really wild to watch them react because they really don't know. Like they've been in the fucking army. Like, and they're coming back and their Timeen is running wild. Like,
wild.
He has no filter anymore. And they're sitting there like, we can't stop this runaway train.
We don't know
like,
what to do.
There's nothing we can do. And they look at the manager and he just says, man, there's nothing I can do either. Like, we're all just on the Timeen train and you got to let him go where he's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let him tire himself out. It'll be his turn soon. So just let him do what he wants for a while.
We know
it's
he
fine.
can keep a secret though, because he kept Kungi a secret for a whole month. So he just really doesn't give a fuck about SM secrets. And I think that's fair.
That's admirable.
Yeah.
And respectful.
Nothing but
yeah,
respect
and he was goading
for
our spoiler king. He was also like goading Mino into shit talking the logos on the V Live too. He's so trouble.
Yes, Mino like cut himself off at first. He was like, I didn't, and he was like, what?
I have nothing to say.
I didn't like it.
And that's all I will say about that.
Key looks straight at the camera. Yeah, SM graphics team, do better.
Yes, he just said like work harder.
Oh my god, they're so ruthless now. I love it.
They are so ruthless.
I support it.
I was gonna say something a few minutes ago. I don't remember when or why or how we got off it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But it's an interest. I think it's just like an interesting thing about SHINee in general. Is like how long they've been around and how they are still like relatively young for the most part. Like there was recently, because they couldn't do the Idol Athletic Championships this year because of COVID, they decided to do like a retrospective special and like bring back all the champions. And on Mino's episode, I really wish I could remember who the other 2 group members were that he was like sitting with on his, but like the other 2 guys that he was sitting with are his same age, like 91 liners, but he has been in the industry 7 years longer than them.
Wow.
And like same with Timeen, like they're like, I don't know, they've just like been around a really long time, and but they're still kicking.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing great. I feel like Timeen has really hit his stride, and he's been in this industry now for literally half his life. It's really crazy. But yeah, it's really exciting. And this is exciting because I feel like, you know, Story of Light was like their 10th anniversary. It was this new like sort of exploration of what are we going to do now? Who are we going to be? And then they all took some time, not all, but like the majority, like, okay, the whole group kind of took a hiatus and was gone for 2 years. And now I feel like what we're going to get is like, I don't want to say a fully realized SHINee, because I don't think that the story of Light was not fully realized, but like this is a new era of SHINee, right? I think it's going to mark like I don't know, it's like not the first thing that they've put out since it was just the 4 of them. So it's kind of like them and who they are now, right? As a foursome, because even though like SHINee is always 5 and they do talk a lot about like Mino in particular always says like, we want you to think of Jonghyun when you see us on this stage, and like know that when you see the 4 of us, like all 5 of us are here. But it is obviously like they've had to make adjustments and change certain parts of like how they distribute the lines, and like the kind of choreography that they do, at least has like the style of choreo changed a lot in the story of Light, and the formations can't necessarily be the same because they don't have 5 people anymore. And so like this is, I don't know how to like put it into words,
I
but
totally,
you know what I mean, right? It's like,
I get what you mean. It's like,
it's the first time that I feel like we'll really see them be a little bit more like comfortable, I guess, with being 4 people. I don't know.
With like, this is, yeah, I know what you mean. And it's like, it's so, it feels so hard to talk about, and I never want to be like misconstrued. And I don't ever want to say like, well, like, this is how it is now. And so like, we got to move. Like, I never want to say words like, we just got to move on.
And even saying like, because there's 4 of them sounds weird in my mouth.
Yes.
And like it feels,
I hate it.
It doesn't
And
sound or feel good to hear that. But it's
Yes.
true. Like, and so this is the first time, like now they are like sort of more in the groove of what it means to be 4, I guess, is what I mean.
And like the point I was trying to like get myself to was like what I talked earlier about like their very first concert after they lost Jong, and it was like they kept as much of him as possible in, because it was like it was too fresh, and I don't think they wanted anything to feel like a replacement, because everybody was like grieving so hard that it was like, we just have to do this. And then at the next concert, it was like he was still left in, but some lines had been redistributed. And with things like old dances from the before times, like when they do like when they did like Sherlock or Everybody or something that has that needs the 5 bodies, they just have like a dancer like all in black to stand in that part so that they can do the formations, because they don't want to like undo classic SHINee. And so I think that's the crossroads that we're like at now, is that like from now on, like we said, we'll always have to like take time to like remember and preserve the time when we physically had 5 members of SHINee. But going forward, like everything new isn't gonna have to be like retrofitted,
right,
to remember, you know what I mean? Like it's new now, and like it's not a thing that's missing something, and it's not like it just, this is what it is now. You know what I mean?
And it's, yes, and like we were talking about like with the story of Light being this exploration of their grief and like coming to terms with it, and sort of like exploring their selves as a group. Like this album, and like we said, like Jong was very much a part of it, and like the styling of like the Little Prince, and like the themes, and also like the specific lyrical content. And it's still true. Like now that they are, like I said, sort of finding their like rhythm as just being 4, that doesn't mean that like Jong isn't a consideration in their art. And I think like we've talked about this in some of the other episodes that are about this newer album, but like people have been making a lot of connections between the stylings of the original like fake reality in Don't Call Me with She Is, and Jinky like sort of supported that theory by captioning some of his photos with Joa, which is the Korean title of She Is. And there were, like, we posited that Marry You was maybe chosen because it was the song that sounded the most like Jong, and that particular showcase was like on the first full moon of the year. There's a lot of like conscious choices that they're making to still say like we are 5 always. We are SHINee 5 and we're right by your side.
Right.
But this is a new world for them, and like, but I think that we can see it like in their V lives and like in like when they first came out of the military, like they're so happy and comfortable together. Like the joy of being together as for like just being together is so palpable, and like I think that that's really going to come through in this album, and that's something I'm very excited about.
Absolutely. I feel that. I feel that so much too. That it feels like this, like not only everything that they'd like been through previous to it, but then like this time apart seems to have just made them more grateful for times. Like, I think that the military boys are like grateful to be like, oh, this is my job. Like, oh, right. I get to be this. Like, I get to sing and dance and like people love me and like that's my job.
And I get to do it with my best friends. Like, I get to do it with these people who like mean so much to me and like that know me so well and that I can like be so happy with. And then Tameen is sitting there like, my big brothers are back. Like, I can finally be the baby again.
I know that's where he's like comfy, and it is honestly it's so strange to me. And I know that people know him in different ways because they like if they only know him from Super M or whatever, but I feel like watching Super M content like that, I feel like artist Taemin is the Taemin that is in Super M.
Yes.
Like
yeah. Because that's what he was marketed
he's calm
as.
and cool, and he's the senior, and he's just like, oh, you sillies. And he's just like, oh, are we playing a silly game? Like, oh, I don't know. Not me, guys. Like Super M Taemin is so different from like the pure baby that he will always be to me. Like as soon as his youngs are around, he is just pure baby.
He just goes from like sitting up straight and like nodding along to slouching so low and like hanging on their arm, and like the way that Kungi looks up at him is the way that he looks up at Onu and Mino, and it's so perfect.
Yeah. I just love him.
Yeah, just love him so much. And that's it. It took us all the way up to, we're caught up today to this Shawol's Guide revised edition. We now have a solid 4 hours of SHINee timeline if you put them all together. And I feel real good about that in my soul.
Yeah, I feel great about that. And then I can't wait in 3 more years, then it will have to be like an even longer revision because we're gonna get all kinds of fun in that time. And it's I'm so happy and grateful to have my SHINee back. I feel forever grateful. I would never take it back. I would never change it. I'm just so happy I'm so happy they chose me. That's all.
So happy we found each other.
Yeah. And we'll be right back with something. Let us talk about it. All right, we're back. And we decided that even though we'd already like covered, the first episode was technically our first deep dive, and we did our first technical random game watch of Ring Ding Dong.
Right, because the rules of the deep dive dictate, according to our SHINee episode, that you have to watch the most watched music video of that group. We already did that because this is the revised edition. So we were debating, should we do a random game, like a true random, and just like pick something? But that didn't really feel right either, because it is an addendum to the SHINee. It's an addendum to the Shawol's Guide. So it feels wrong to go off course. And it felt wrong to not watch anything at all. So we decided.
Yes, I sorted all the videos by views, and the most popular video from this era that we spoke about today is Good Evening at 31 mil.
Great.
The next most, like their second most popular video to this day is Lucifer, but that is too old. It's not part of this re-edition.
It's
We
not.
can't.
Yeah. It's not a part of this era.
Yeah, so we're gonna give Good Evening a watch just to end this episode like a regular episode where we gotta watch something.
We gotta watch something. So why not watch SHINee?
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so we've got our boys in like different sets that are all a little bit messy and chaotic. There's one that has like a glass room and like appliances and oranges, and one room has a whole bunch of video cameras, and the other one has a bunch of monitors.
Yeah, there's a lot of screens. Lots of different screens in every set.
Yes, and the boys are together in the same set, but they don't.
There's the
there's the
fox.
fox. It is in here, but they don't really interact with each other. I love this choreo. It uses chairs, so they like do a lot of it. It actually incorporates the chairs throughout the whole thing.
He is smashing the piano now.
That Timmy is walking on.
The slow melt.
One of these rooms is just filled with plants.
Yeah, the big glowy ring over the like circle stage.
I feel like that particular set has been used in a few different music videos.
Yes, I feel like there was this. Was it like a Super Junior thing we watched recently
Yeah.
where we were like, "Hey, that's the Good Evening circles."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a lot of like. There's a very deep Pearl Aqua motif on this
Yes,
music video.
that is true. The stage that they're doing, the set piece where they're doing all of the choreography is this like gorgeous Pearl Aqua stage that's surrounded by plants. But throughout the whole thing, they really like the lighting is all Pearl Aqua.
It's raining on Onu. It's raining.
Starts
on
raining inside. They're all loving it. Oh, maybe they come out of the well.
Oh my god, this part where they're dancing under the plastic sheet, it's so like scary and good.
But then when the paint drips and it's like a video footage
Yes.
and the paint drips, it's so cool. So it's like raining inside of the glass room that they're in, but it cuts with them like falling through water as well. Are they falling down or are they falling up? I don't know.
That's a question for Alice in Wonderland.
So the paint that drips on them is like video footage of the forest that they are then in, which is pretty
Yes.
cool. So they get
And
like
this exact-
transported.
These moments right now of them running in the forest are the beginning of the next music video.
Yes.
Oh my god, Keys. I meant to talk about it when we were talking about this album, but the like Keys like very
Buzz cut.
it's not quite a buzz cut. It's a long buzz cut, but like the way that he would like either paint it or just keep it like pure Eminem bleach was just such a Luke.
Yeah, I loved it. And so the music video ends with them looking at a well, and there's down a well, and there's a fifth shadow that's coming from inside the well. So the theory was like Jong the
They're
fox
being pulled.
bringing them into the well. And then it leads right into I Want You.
Next song.
Because our thoughtful
Good
boys,
times.
they think everything's through.
So thoughtful.
So thoughtful. So SHINee.
So SHINee. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this addendum to our Shawols guide and that you feel like more prepared Shawols for the Don't Call Me Comeback. because you just have a few more days.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this like way in the future, like, oh, lucky you. You get to watch it all.
And
'cause
then
it's all
you get to
exists for
go
you.
and listen to the album right after this episode. Lucky you.
How lucky you are.
And if you're a baby wall and you don't know that much about SHINee, hopefully you listened to us at the beginning of the episode and you didn't start with this one. You went back to the original. But if you didn't, and this was your first dip into the SHINee pool, take a listen to our Shawols guide. It'll take you through the rest. We've been doing a whole month of SHINee content in preparation for this next album, Don't Call Me. So check it out. We've got lots of SHINee dedicated episodes.
We sure do, because this is a Shawol podcast, and never forget it.
It sure is. And it's very, very, very important to me that people know more about Taemin than Super M.
I agree. Super M is good and fun, and it did its job as a K-pop ambassador to get eyes on the Super M's. But now we must invite you to look further at the groups in which your Super M's came from, because there's a lot of gold in there, guys.
Where there's SHINee, there is gold.
That should be a catchphrase, because it's true.
It's true.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up for now, because we've got V lives to watch and
So much
time to
content to
kill
catch up
before an
on.
album comes out. But if you want to get in contact with us in the meantime, we can be found on social media at AMAKPopPod on Twitter and Instagram, amakpoppod@gmail.com for emails. We specifically asked when the Don't Call Me album drops that you do call us 181 AMA K-pop 5. I think it would be great in our next episode if we could play some voicemails in this theme song or phone themed comeback episode. If we could have some phone content, that would make me really happy.
That would make me happy too. I like that idea.
We have a physical mailing address.
Yes, P.O. Box 26096, Los Angeles, California 90026.
We have a Patreon if you would like to pay a little bit of a monthly fee. We have some video content on there. We've been doing Patreon for this month will be our 8th Patreon episode. And as soon as you join, you get access to all the ones that came before it. So if you join today, hours and hours of video content is awaiting you on our Patreon,
Oh my
patreon.com/AMAKpop.
Hurry! Go check it out.
Yeah, we also have some Spotify playlists, AMA K-pop on Spotify for playlists that go with each episode. If you use a podcast app where there's rating or reviewing, do that. Tell your friends about this podcast if you like it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming on this journey, and we will be back next week to talk even more SHINee, new SHINee content coming up. Get ready, gang.
Next week.
Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.
Adorable. 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 Adorable.
Adorable.
Adorable. Adorable. 해줘. Adorable. Adorable.
Adorable.
Adorable. Adorable.